Welcome to the So That's Why podcast, where we unpack the science behind everyday questions. I'm Jen.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
So today we're tackling something that virtually everyone who exercises has experienced. Why do we get sore muscles after exercising? That familiar ache that settles in a day or two after a challenging workout. What's actually going on?
That special feeling where getting off the sofa becomes like a strategic operation. You all know what I mean, where you genuinely consider whether the journey to the bathroom is really worth it because your legs have gone and put in a formal complaint.
Exactly. And here's what's interesting. For decades, we've all been told it's lactic acid. Feel the burn. That's the lactic acid building up. But actually, the science tells a completely different story.
It certainly does. And this lactic acid explanation has been comprehensively disproven. So lactic acid actually clears from your bloodstream within 30 to 60 minutes after exercise. That timeline alone makes this theory impossible because muscle soreness typically doesn't begin until 12, even 24 hours post-exercise, sometimes longer.
And it's mad, isn't it, how widespread that lactic acid myth still is. You hear it, I hear it in the gym all the time.
Yeah, and it's completely the wrong culprit. The real cause is microscopic damage to muscle fibres and the surrounding connective tissue. It's called delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS for short, and it triggers an inflammatory response that peaks about 72 to 48 hours after you exercise.
That's right, and that's why it's called the delayed onset, because you feel fine immediately after your workout, even the next day. I mean, I remember many times playing football on a Saturday, feeling fine on the Sunday or okay on the Sunday, but then walking like John Wayne by Monday morning.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've had workouts where I've walked out of the gym feeling like a champion, then sort of woke up the next day moving like I'd aged literally 40 years overnight. You're right, though. Sometimes it's the day after, isn't it, that this sort of all kicks in.
So if it's not lactic acid, what's actually happening at the cellular level?
So, when you exercise, particularly during movements where your muscles lengthen under load, things like lowering weights or running downhill, you create tiny tears in individual muscle fibres. Now, tears sound bad, but this is completely normal and nothing to worry about.
And then the body launches a complex inflammatory cascade, and the damaged tissue releases chemical signals that trigger an immune response, bringing inflammatory cells and fluids to the affected area.
Yeah, exactly. And this inflammation causes swelling within the muscle tissue and activates your pain receptors. It's not damage in a harmful sense, it's your body's repair mechanism kicking into gear.
So the soreness then is actually a repair job in progress, like my body's got builders in and they're making just an awful lot of noise.
Yeah, it's a good way of thinking about it. So the inflammatory response releases specific hormones called prostaglandins and leukotrienes that contribute to pain and swelling. And this whole process takes time to develop, which is why soreness peaks 1 to 3 days after exercise rather than straight away.
And some researchers also propose that DOMS involves damage to the deep fascia, which is the connective tissue that wraps around your muscle. And that tissue is densely populated with pain-sensitive nerve endings, which might explain why even gentle pressure on sore muscles can be so uncomfortable.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I know exactly what you mean. And it's not just the muscles themselves, is it? The whole neighborhood seems to be affected by it.
Yeah, very true. And research shows that even a 2% drop in performance can result from that process. And studies found that DOMS can reduce strength by 20% temporarily, which is significant if you're trying to maintain a training program.
And the type of muscle contraction makes a huge difference too. So eccentric contractions, where muscles actively lengthen under load, are the most potent triggers. And that explains why running downhill causes more soreness than running uphill, even though running uphill feels harder at the time.
Yeah, why would you want to run up anyway?
You might not get a choice.
Why would you just want to run? But it does make sense, doesn't it? I mean, after I've had gym sessions, I've had that. You sort of finish thinking it was fine, especially when the lift sort of felt, controlled. But then 2 days later, I can barely get out of my chair. And it's like, it's this slow lowering under load that catches you out, not the parts that feel toughest at the time.
That's exactly right. And it's because the force distribution across muscle fibres becomes uneven. And that creates disruption to the muscle fibres, which means more repair work needed and therefore more soreness.
And the variation between individuals is significant too. Research shows that after the same workout, some people experience severe soreness while others feel relatively fine. And there's a genetic component to how efficiently your body manages the inflammatory response.
So when I'm hobbling around then, and my friend who did exactly the same workout, we've all got them, is bouncing around like nothing happened, that's not me being weak, that's biology.
Yeah, precisely right. And studies on over 1,000 athletes found enormous variation in soreness responses to identical exercise. So your individual inflammatory response, your muscle fibre composition, your training history, all of these things affect how sore you get.
And age plays a role too, because older adults may experience soreness differently because their inflammatory response and recovery capacity change over time. But interestingly, fit individuals of any age typically return to normal faster, around 40 to 60% quicker than less conditioned people.
Okay, so fitness doesn't stop me getting sore, it just helps me bounce back faster, is what we're saying.
Exactly right. Which brings us to one of the biggest myths in fitness, the idea that soreness means you've had an effective workout. And this needs addressing because it's so widespread.
You're right, and it is completely false. So research conclusively demonstrates that DOMS, this delayed onset muscle soreness, is neither necessary nor sufficient for muscle growth. You can build significant muscle without experiencing much soreness at all.
So does that mean the no pain, no gain thing is nonsense?
Well, muscle growth occurs through mechanical tension and metabolic stress, not through damage. Some muscle groups like shoulders rarely experience significant soreness, yet they still grow perfectly when they're trained properly.
Yep, that's right. So the no pain, no gain thing does still count because your body adapts to exercise through something called the repeated bout effect. That means you'll experience progressively less soreness for the same workout, even as your strength and muscle mass continues to increase. So the pain has turned into gain in that sense.
So getting less sore over time is actually a sign your body is adapting and improving, right?
Exactly. But back to that no pain, no gain, constantly chasing maximum soreness can actually be counterproductive. It increases injury risk, it creates excessive fatigue, and it might even slow your progress.
So what about the common advice that you shouldn't exercise when you're sore? There's a lot of conflicting information out there.
There is, and I'd say, so for mild to moderate soreness, light activity can actually help. It's called active recovery, and it works by increasing blood flow to damaged tissues, delivering oxygen and nutrients while removing waste products.
So gentle movement then is better than lying on a sofa. Well, if it was me, I'd lie on the sofa and feel sorry for myself. But so this gentle movement, this active recovery is better than that?
Yeah, the sofa does sound quite appealing, though, to be fair. But no, yeah, in most cases, yes. So walking, light cycling, swimming, anything low intensity. And researchers found that active recovery at 30 to 60% of your maximum heart rate is more effective than complete rest for reducing soreness.
And the key distinctions between productive training and harmful overexertion, training through severe soreness that compromises your form or prevents proper movement, I mean, that's when you risk injury. But modified training, reduced intensity or working different muscle groups can help you maintain consistency while recovering.
That's right. And if we looked at the other side of it, so red flags, these things would include such as sharp pain rather than a dull aching, pain localized to a specific point, visible swelling or bruising, or soreness that persists beyond a week. They're symptoms that warrant caution and might need medical attention.
So what about things then like ice baths are super popular, my preference, massage, stretching? I like to stretch. Is any of that working?
So analysis of about 120 studies identified which treatments actually have evidence behind them. Active recovery ranks highly up there, as does, you'll be pleased to hear, massage therapy, because that increases blood flow and that may stimulate endorphin release, so you feel a bit better.
Yeah, and another one is cold water immersion, and that shows effectiveness too at around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius for a few minutes after exercise. And contrast therapy, which is alternating hot and cold, also demonstrates benefits, although both sound fairly horrific to me, I've got to say.
I love the sauna. What about stretching, though? That's not made your list. So I want to know, because I've spent years doing hamstring stretches after leg day.
Actually, this is where the research gets surprising. Multiple reviews found that stretching, whether before, after, or both, produces only minimal reductions in muscle soreness.
Wow.
And we're talking effects that they're too small to be clinically meaningful.
So all that post-workout stretching then wasn't preventing or helping my soreness?
No, not significantly. And there was one systemic review that found stretching reduced soreness by less than 2 millimetres on a 100 millimetre pain scale. So, as Jen said, effectively undetectable. But stretching does have other benefits. It improves your flexibility, your range of motion, but preventing this DOMS is not one of them. The time might be better invested in proper nutrition and sleep.
Sleep is genuinely powerful for your recovery. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormones, which stimulates the tissue repair and muscle regeneration. Sleep also modulates the inflammatory response, releasing anti-inflammatory compounds that can help reduce that muscle pain. And you should really aim for 7 to 9 hours a night to optimize your recovery.
So what you're saying, Jen, is don't stay up late scrolling through your phone, because that's going to make your muscle recovery, well, much slower.
Essentially, yes. Sleep deprivation can increase pain sensitivity and impair the whole repair process.
And protein intake matters too. So we need amino acids to repair damaged muscle fibres. And amino acids are the building blocks of protein, which is why each meal should ideally contain 20 to 40 grams of protein to optimally stimulate muscle growth and repair.
And foods with anti-inflammatory properties can help too. Things like berries, food rich in omega-3, nuts and olive oil. And of course, staying well hydrated is equally important, as dehydration can intensify that muscle soreness.
So lo and behold, what you're saying is the fundamentals matter more perhaps than the fancy recovery gadgets that are available.
Far more, although I know you love your gadgets. But adequate sleep, proper nutrition, gradual progression in your training and active recovery when needed. They're the things that will work much better than these expensive pieces of equipment.
And gradual progression is probably the most effective prevention strategy, slowly increasing exercise intensity, duration or load. It gives your muscles time to adapt without overwhelming them.
That's it. And experts typically recommend increasing training volume by no more than 10% per week. So that allows for progressive adaptation without triggering this excessive soreness.
You know what? I think plenty of people, including myself, if I'm honest, have made the mistake of doing too much too soon after a break. Like you go on holiday, you come back, start exercising, thinking like you should just kick off, where you left off, which I've always found a recipe for total soreness.
Absolutely. But understanding why you get sore can help you be patient with the process rather than pushing through unnecessarily.
Yeah, and it's worth remembering that some soreness is completely normal when you're challenging your body with new activities or increased intensity. It's not a sign of failure or weakness.
Okay, so why do we get sore muscles after exercising?
It's because exercise, particularly intense movements where muscles lengthen under load, it creates microscopic tears in muscle fibres. Your body responds with an inflammatory cascade that repairs the damage, and that process causes a characteristic dull, aching sensation we call delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS.
The soreness peaks 1 to 3 days after exercise because the inflammatory response takes time to fully develop. And crucially, this isn't caused by lactic acid, which actually clears within an hour. It's a repair process that's completely normal and healthy.
So the post-workout ache isn't punishment. I must remember this. It's my body's maintenance crew showing up for work. Bit inconvenient time-wise, but it's doing important stuff.
Exactly. And so now you know that chasing maximum soreness isn't the goal, that light movement can help, and that the fundamentals of sleep, nutrition, they matter more than most recovery trends. So that's it for this week. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We're unpacking the science behind everyday questions each week. Tell us in the comments what you'd like us to explore next. Thanks for geeking out with us. But for now, that's it from me.
That's it from me.
And that's it from me.
Bye for now.